Okay.
Welcome to the Back Yourself podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Hussein and Christopher here in the lab, keen to talk some footy before the big dance on Wednesday night. What a retarded round it was in the NRL. A short round. Origin packed round, and what a snooze fest that last game was. But we had, I would say, at least three very good talking point games to talk about, and I better get to it because the blood circulation in your arms is about to go out of the window with that jersey that you have on. But shout out to the All Blacks who kicked us off on Thursday night. Is there any commentary from you, Chris, or do we just get straight into it?
Obviously,
do we get straight to the shout out?
Shout out to Deesh. Thank you for getting me one of these that basically non-existent anywhere. Probably one of the nicest NRL jerseys I've seen, even though
the All Blacks one.
It's a bit too black, I want to say, but you know what? It actually looks class. So shout out to him for getting me one of these, and it's fitting to wear it today, especially with their victory this week. But it's keeping me warm, keeping this blood circulating. I might have to do a wardrobe change.
I will say that the trend in this round throughout the entire year was the underdogs go out there and produce miracle results, and there was a miracle that occurred on the Friday night, really, because the Bulldogs, shout out to Chris Crease, Matt, Stephen Crichton, who was, I'm sure, watching in front of his TV screen.
Crying.
Karaz, who was ready in case somebody goes down in camp in that 18th man jersey. Burden wondering why he wasn't in the 18th man jersey for once, and then conveniently found himself at centre.
Oh, yeah.
Montoya wondering how he's still in the team.
Well, he wasn't awful.
Galvin, the greatest teenager in the history of sports, running out in his preferred 5'8 jersey.
And the Dally M, 3-time Dally M medalist, Toby Sexton.
And the 100-time Dally M man of steel from England, Toby Sexton, ran out there. And they lost again to the Brisbane All Blacks. 22-18 was your full-time score. And it all happened like this. Bang, 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 bang. 13 minutes, an 18-point lead is eviscerated for the Bulldogs. And the Broncos through Ezra Mam, what a stand-up guy he is, on the left-hand side, put 4 tries on the board and take victory from the jaws of defeat away from the Bulldogs. Now, Chris, you are an All Black, so I feel like I know which way you're going to lean in your analysis of this one. What did you make of this one, champion?
Well, my analysis is these cunts were awful for 60 minutes. But the brilliance of good teams and teams that can actually score tries is that it only takes them 20 minutes to beat someone. And like I've said for Warriors a lot, but I'll reiterate to Bulldogs. You guys don't know how to score. Like, intrinsically don't know how to score properly. And it doesn't matter if Galvin's there or not. We'll get to why Galvin was in the lineup and Ciraldo being an idiot, because I want to scream at Ciraldo and one particular player who's a Dally M Centre of the Year. He is a Dally M Centre of the Year. Yep. We'll get to him, helmet boy.
My boy.
But firstly, they just have so many points in them. And this is like something you would see if they had Walsh, they had their Haas, they had Carrigan, they had Shibasaki. This is something you could potentially see from Broncos any week. It doesn't matter when they play. But without them, I actually couldn't believe my eyes when I was watching the TV as to how this was unfolding. I could see it happening. I could see it all conjuring into the case of these cunts are going to come back. These cunts are going to come back.
Broncos.
Yeah. And, I've said it before, the 2-point curse. It was a 2-point curse, all right? It went up 18. I actually don't think that was the worst thing in the world, because what Brisbane had dished out in the first 60 minutes, they were never going to score 3 tries the way they were playing. But Dogs just thought they won the game. And what's incredible is Dogs are often the team that's catching the team that thinks they've won the game and come back and win. This was the first time
it's Roosters, a la Raiders, a la all these garbage games that they keep winning.
And this was the first time it happened the other way. So, look, the tries themselves, to concede 4 tries in 13 minutes, if this was South, if this was Tigers, Titans, we would absolutely kill them. So there's no reason for me not to kill them. So you cunts can shut the fuck up, Dogs fans. You guys still haven't won a big game. And this wasn't even a big game. You guys were odds-on favourite, had the players from Origin, not Brisbane players that were coming back from Origin, and you let it slip again. 18-0 in front. No one would have said anything about Galvin or the position changes or anything like that. You just gave up, in my eyes. And it kind of happened today with Tigers, and this is the level we're talking about, is when Tigers conceded the first try to Tupou after going up 20-0. That last 3 minutes of the first half, it looked like they didn't know how to defend anymore. And Dogs essentially did that. As soon as they conceded the first try, Dogs didn't know how to defend anymore. And it's incredible how this happens for so many teams, even great sides, that they just do this shit. So
you're telling me Jerry and Montoya next to each other couldn't defend?
Well, look, we'll get to the position. I wanted to talk more about from a Brisbane fan. Look, I said this last week, and I know you were like, oh, come on, don't say that. They're back. Unfortunate for the world. And what's infuriating is they shouldn't be, but they are. And this victory...
This dog star is giving these cunts 2 wins now.
Well, this victory, like, I actually thought they won the whole competition. I actually thought they won the grand final.
I'm surprised why there were subsequent games after this one.
Because
I thought they did the trophy ceremony at 4
how much it meant to them to beat them again the way they beat them is... If Broncos next week go and lose to Titans or some garbage, I don't understand. I don't know what Badger's dealing with, to be honest.
They're a front-running team.
Yeah.
When they're front-running, they're
but
up
like this was a victory that you
like,
wouldn't expect.
From a week-to-week perspective, when they play garbage, they lose 5 in a row, and when they fire up, they win 5 in a row.
Yeah, and this is a big week because if they beat Titans and they go into a bye, and they're all of a sudden right behind Warriors, which are the targets at the moment for all these cunts at the bottom about half of the 8. So look, Brisbane, I want to say, for once, you guys didn't give up and you really showed some heart. You scored your first try and you actually put your foot on the neck of the Dogs and said, all right, you know what? You cunts are that good. Let's see how much you can stop us throwing shit at you. And you Dogs were just like, all right, we're good, basically. And Dogs front, I think I'll let you speak more before I go into like the positional garbage from Ciraldo.
Yeah, I would rather you just go full send on Ciraldo.
All right, well, look, okay. Like you said, and you butted in, but it was valid because it's exactly what I said on the day. Did they expect to have Montoya and Jerry on one edge and not expect anything to happen? I mean, okay, let's start with step 1. Galvin's the problem. That's all I heard. Galvin's ruined the chemistry. Galvin's done this. And I'm a number 1 fan of Galvin, right? First of all, yes, he was going to ruin the chemistry. I'm not denying the fact that he's going to come in and change shit and it's going to be different. But in the long run, you should be better. And what probably should have happened is week 1 when you played Para and he was available on that Easter Monday fixture and he actually scored that day as well, it was the best way to integrate him into the team because Para suck. The week after, you played South, who we've seen today. South. You played South and you could have put him in the team. You didn't. And you played him in the Origin rounds, sure, but that time Burton wasn't there.
Didn't he start against South?
Yeah, it was the Origin round.
18th man boy was gone.
Yeah, 18th man boy. But it's a different story. Now,
but he started and he played quite well.
I actually think he played fine in this game. He created the offense. There's nothing that Sexton could do in place of Galvin. Yes, he makes a lot of errors, but he gets a lot of touches and he creates the offense. And that's why Montoya scored the first try because of Galvin. The more issue for me is Ciraldo or Gus, Matt, or Burton himself. Someone made the decision for him to play left center. And in my eyes, think of it this way. Next week, Stephen Cryan will likely play. So Burton's not going to play right center anyway. Neither is Jerry. Left center is going to be vacated. Obviously, Burton's better than Jerry, so you're going to put Burton in. And Jerry's going to play wing, most likely for Montoya. That's my assumption. So, instead of moving Jerry from one side of the field to the other, when you have a Dally M Center of the Year, which in my mind, if you're a Dally M Center of the Year, you might play a little bit shitter on the right side, but it's really not much of a difference. And what you've done is gone, all right, you know what? I really want Kikau and Burton and Galvin on my left-hand side. It's like you guys are South, that you guys need to stack all your players on the left-hand side because that's the only place you can score. When Burton could have just stayed on the right side and Jerry stayed on the left and he probably scored as many tries anyway, if not more, because he knows how to play left center properly and he plays in, week out. But no, you move the player that's played week in, week out to the other side next to Montoya, and then you put Burton in on the left-hand side to play there, and you didn't concede any on the left-hand side. Sure, Ciraldo, well done, bro. But because of that, you conceded so many on the right. And it was just poor decision-making, poor structure on the right-hand side of the field. The Billy Walters try. Connie Tracy has no option to either go in on the forward if they go, or go in on Billy Walters, and he expects the inside fuckwit second row to actually tackle him, and he doesn't. So he just walks through. I mean, that's because the right side of the field, you got Montoya and Jerry next to each other looking, they can't see the players properly. There's 3 Broncos there, they can only see 2 of them apparently, and they're mismatched numbers. And that's where Burton should be. Okay, all right, match the numbers properly. Ciraldo, in the last 2 matches, has fucked them over both times. I'm not denying it.
Well, someone claimed that it's all Gus and Ciraldo's puppet.
Okay, fine. But the head coach...
Let's preface, whoever the fuck it's
whoever made that decision in both games has fucked them both over.
What do you say to those that say that Galvin is the reason that they've gone from first to
Drop
third?
him. Wait, drop him. Oh, wait, you're not going to have Sexton next year? You have no choice now, you dingoes. It's over. From the time you signed Galvin off my team, you decided to fuck Sexton off. That's it.
Well, did they?
Yeah.
Because week in, week out, he still runs out there, right?
Well, that's Ciraldo's
So,
fault. That's another Ciraldo point.
I don't like the narrative that Galvin has caused such dismay that they can't win anymore for whatever reason.
They're not allowed
But
to win.
I am somewhat disappointed in Gus and Ciraldo and the way they've carried on. Gus, at no stage of anywhere that he's been in his career has he backed down to anyone. He is the primary decision maker, the GM, the janitor, the coach, the CEO,
everything,
the social media editor, you name it. Gus wears all those hats. When Adokar did his garbage last year, it wasn't the fucking CEO that came out and was like, "This guy's a fucking moron."
Yeah.
It was Gus coming out saying, "No, we like him."
Exactly.
Right? So you have ultimate say of what happens in this club.
Correct.
When you came into the club and Trent Barrett couldn't coach, you told the world, "No, I actually like him," and then 3 weeks later he was out of there, right? So that just seems all very convenient for me. So Gus, you did swing the axe and you were like, "I'm going to sign Galvin and I'm going to sign him and he's going to be in our team. And I think he's the best teenage prospect of all time, so I don't give a shit, I'm grabbing him." But you didn't have the backbone for once in your fucking lives
To bring him
to
in.
just be like,
Fuck off, Sexton.
"Sorry, Sexton, thank you for your service. Move aside, we're bringing this guy in." Instead, 1 week you're like, "Well, we'll bring him off the bench, we'll give him 20 minutes, and then Marnie can come off, even though he's our best hooker." And then Sexton, "Well, how can we take him off in any capacity? We'll just put him to 9, even though he's never played 9 in his life." All right, hallelujah, you beat Para. The week after that, your hand is forced because Burton is 18th man, and you're like, "Well, okay, fine, Galvin, you get in there, and we'll destroy the existence of Souths." And that happened, which I don't give you cunts any credit for, because look at these fucking Souths, which I'll get to them. And then the week after, me and you were like, "All right, he's going to be starting. All right, let's go, let's do it." Oh no, here comes Penrith. We have to change everything. Montoya, you go to the right side. Carras, come to the left side. And then Galvin, you come on for 5 minutes this time and try and save us. And Marnie, yeah, you fuck off again. Like, you already saw that it worked in the Souths game. You already, at this stage, I'm sure the talks had begun that, all right, Marnie, fuck off to Cowboys.
Yeah.
Sexton, fuck off to
Catalans,
right? So knowing that these moves are going to be made, why are you so desperate to hold on to Sexton, knowing that
he's gone now?
He's already
There's
gone,
no reason
right?
to play him this week.
There's no reason to play him this week. So now this week, instead of just dropping Sexton again, you're like, "No, Burton, you go to the center."
Well,
but not the center that Hush told you to play. Go to the... Sorry.
He's going to play left center, yeah.
Go to left center, even though next week we're going to fuck ourselves over because now Stephen Crichton has to come back anyway, but we're so reluctant to actually drop Sexton that, well, yeah, sure, okay, Burton, you end up in the center somehow.
Well, yeah, and then Jerry's going to get dropped or Montoya will get dropped.
Yeah,
which
they've played well the whole year. Well, Montoya's an awful player, but I don't know, bro. There's too many moving parts week in, week out.
All because of Sexton.
All because of...
Because they're blaming Galvin.
It's not even Sexton's fault. It's all because of Gus and Ciraldo's inability to just be like, "Hey, Sexton, sorry, bro. It's over."
And in my opinion, and Dogs fans might not agree with this, I actually think this year is the only chance they're going to win a comp. I can't see it with Bailey Hayward, honestly. I can't see it.
I can see it.
I can't see him turning into...
They get Leonardo next year.
Yeah, and... I mean...
They got some young forwards ascending.
But...
I don't see why they wouldn't be an option to win the comp next year. Especially if you think they're going to have a whole preseason of Galvin. He's the best player of all time.
No, but in my mind, they should have kept one of Sexton or Marnie. Why did they get rid of them both? Galvin's one player.
Because they love Hayward.
Yeah, but I truly don't see it in Hayward. Okay, he might be a great lock. I don't think he's going to be a good hooker. And it's fine. And on top of that, you also fucked yourselves because it was... Look, they're actually really fucking it up. Because Burton has to play 7 now.
Nah, I think
next year, who's going to play 7? Galvin. And then this guy's going to play 6?
Yeah.
That's an awesome idea.
Two fucking...
Well, look, you could have just re-signed Sexton, fucked Marnie off. Okay, I'm going to have to deal with Hayward. But then at least you have Burton, Sexton, and Galvin.
Burton playing center?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Look, I actually think slowly but surely, the way this club is molding is they actually fucked off 2 players that designed them last year.
Yeah.
Fine, you got Galvin. In my opinion, he's way better than Sexton. I don't think anyone disagrees. But there was no reason. Galvin is only one player. Why did you get rid of both? I know Hayward is coming up, but Hayward is not there. In my opinion, he's not ready.
Well, the Dogs fans that I've spoken to are of the opinion that Marnie had asked for some sort of a extension in the off season, and Gus was like, "I'm not giving you 3 years, can't wake up." And then he's like, "All right, I'll like test my thing elsewhere," and they were like, "Okay, go, you can go to Cowboys. We can't like match that for the length of time." So, in isolation, Marnie actually had nothing to do with Galvin coming. They were going to get rid of him anyway.
Yeah, okay, but Sexton is the one that they got sacrificed, but
you're saying they want to. But like they listened to you, they got rid of him, but they're just not getting rid of him like week to week. Which, that's my concern.
Well, he's going to play every week.
Sure, all right, play the rest of the year. Fucking dickheads. Sure, okay. On the other side, Broncos. I did fucking say I will apologise to you cunts if you were 5-beat, and you did 5-beat, but
well, they haven't won next week.
They have. It's started. If they're going to wear the All Black shirts again, those cunts are dead. I think Ezra has really helped these cunts a lot.
Oh, yeah. He's
Fuck me, their offense was bad before him. And it was bad without him in this particular game. I mean, Adam Reynolds. Fuck me.
Adam Reynolds is awful.
God. I wouldn't even grab a you fast Tigers. Like, whoever actually pays attention to Broncos games, Adam Reynolds is an awful player.
Yeah, he is.
And I say that respectfully because he has been a great player for a long time, but fuck me, he sucks. But Ezra on the left side.
Wow.
Pretty much all 4 of their tries go down that channel with Hoyter there, for God's sake. And
well,
it's
interesting.
Ezra cutting them to shreds time after time after time.
For all the cunts that talk shit about me saying anything about Shibasaki, it's interesting Hoyter scored at left centre, didn't he?
Yeah. And it's interesting that no one could score while fucking Ezra wasn't there. So maybe Ezra's actually that good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
no, he's not that good, bro.
Anyway, look, anytime you concede 4 converted tries in 13 minutes is truly alarming. And I don't know why you guys switched off the way you did. Were you actually destroying Broncos to get the 18-0 lead in the first place? No. Even a couple of your tries with dog wank. But I feel like Dogs might have peaked a little too early in terms of being 9-1 and now integrating this thing. It kind of feels like a mental hump that they don't seem as desperate and hungry as they were earlier in the season. So I give them a pass. I think I would like to judge them more probably in the last 3 rounds because last year they were flying by this point and then they all got too hard at the end and they gave up at the wrong time, right? But this year, I don't mind a mid-season slump if you can wake up in the last month and start playing good footy, but it's costing you what seems a home semi. And I mean, if you can't have to go to Melbourne, that's a much different prospect than them coming to ANZ. So you truly need to wake up and start winning games that you should be winning. 18-0 with, like, some kind on Sportsbet actually got on Brisbane at 151 to 1.
Yeah,
there's no reason for you to win that.
Yeah, no, of course not. But it happens,
so
right?
they look, I guess they've won a couple games like that. They're probably due to lose one, but between that and the Penrith game, it's like, you probably should have won both, but you lose both. You can't keep let that happen, knowing that Melbourne and Raiders are immortalised in the NRL.
Well,
so, sure.
it's not just that. It just proves that, okay, how important week 1 will be. Because likely Broncos and Penrith are going to be the 2 teams that are there, waiting for them come week 2. And I don't think Brisbane or Penrith give a fuck about going to ANZ or going to fucking... They don't care. So, like, you got to think of it that way. And this is your competition. Maybe you won't get them. Like, maybe one of them will finish in the 4 or whatever. That'll be funny. Well, they get Manly.
They want that smoke again?
Yeah, they want the smoke again. They're scared of Manly. But speaking of Manly, they're lucky they fucking played. It's raining now. They would lose this game. But Broncos, I think they're back. There's another team that you're going to despise me to say. I'm going to say another team that's back as well, but it's coming later in the round. But I think Brisbane are well and truly back in this competition race, and they're scary. If they finish 5th, they can potentially win a grand final from 5th. Their offense on that left-hand side of the field, with Walsh being there, is going to be the most possessed thing you'll ever see. And we still have Ben Hunter coming as well. Fucking hell.
That was very contradictory to what your football character has been in the last 2 years. I don't think I would expect that you cunts would ever come back down 18-0 and win like that. Now, you also did the same thing against Sharks. So maybe you are turning a corner. You're hanging in games. You're not giving up. You're staying in the contest. Ezra's playing good footy. Things seem to be turning around. So for them to lose Walsh to 18th man duties, yes, I get you can't lost Carraz. That's fine. But for that to happen and you run out, you lose Arthur. Smoothie ran out there with a 10 jersey on for Pete's sake. Yeah. And you guys won down 18. That was pretty impressive. So I got to give mad props to the All Blacks. And I also got to move on and give mad props to the mighty
Dragons.
Dragons for covering for me. Thank you, Dragons.
Well done,
Thank you,
Zarafos
boys.
brothers.
Plus
Let's go.
13.5 makes it 1-on-1 on the best bets for the Back Yourself podcast. And I truly respect Dragons because, I mean, fuck, that was an infuriating game to watch on so many fronts. For Raiders, like, how much garbage is going to go your way in one round? Piss off weeks. We get it. You're the fastest man on planet Earth. But in my eyes, Dragons fought tooth, nail, and clawed in to get back in the contest and gave Wicks a 100-meter try.
Yeah.
And then they fought tooth and claw and they covering it. And then they gave Wicks another 200-meter try. And then just when you think Dragons are done, they kick to Sloan. And then they never look back. And 5 minutes to go, you're like, these cunts might win. And Raiders have actually found themselves in that exact scenario 3 weeks in a row now. Yeah. Against Tigers, against Knights, against Dragons. But
they're trying to lose.
They're trying to lose, but they're just too good in a way in the end. Dragons, I don't know how you guys lost by 4. Considering what had happened, you got your forward pass garbage try disallowed by the touchy for no reason.
Flano wasn't happy with that.
You cunts conceded 300-meter tries to Weeks for no reason.
Correct.
You conceded the back garbage try as well on the other side of the field, which was awful as well. And Dragons made, 16 errors, completed at 60%, and you look up at the full-time score and you see 28-24.
It's a great performance.
The defensive side of the Raiders on the left side was despicable with Sasungi and Jed Stewart. Fuck me. If Dragons got some good ball and actually woke up to themselves, they probably could have scored 8 tries.
100%. Even if Dragons had Val, they might have won this game.
At the end of the day, look, it's another win for Raiders who seem to cement themselves as minor premiers by the week. Like I said, Dogs are losing these games by 2, and Raiders come hell or high water, they never lose. So they're putting themselves in a position where they're going to be first. They're going to host somebody in September in Canberra on the fucking probably Friday night where, who knows, Penrith or Broncos or God knows who's going to come forth. And Warriors. They might lose by 250-0 if they go there without Metcalf. Fuck me, folks. But there's not much to say on the Raiders front, and on the Dragons front, you guys, some of your players.
Yeah, Allen was awful. Bro.
Allen, awful player. Finau, I thought, played quite well.
I think he deserves a spot next week.
Some of the forwards, Clemmer. But at the end of the day, you never back down. And I do respect that about Dragons, come hell or high water. I like you guys. 13.5 was probably too much considering the lack of motivation from Canberra. And that's the only reason Dragons truly covered in the end. Because by the second 100-meter try they converted 2 weeks, and they allowed him to do it again, I was like, Dragons are beyond help. But at least they covered.
Yeah, no, of course. Like Dragons, a lot of shit went against them, and they still keep themselves in the game. And that's down to Flano and just the way he's drilled these fucking morons, because it is a bunch of morons running out there. Allen on the left side, I mean, that Weeks' second try. I know Weeks went through the field twice, but particularly the second try, he literally looked at him, knows that he's faster than him, knows he's literally 2 meters from his line, and still missed the tackle.
Yeah, it was too hard for him.
It was too hard. And I think he's pretty sure he made the error to get them there in the first place.
He did a lot.
He did a lot. So he was awful. And despite all that, they lose by 4. They lost the error count. They lost possession. They were just getting pumped. And Raiders, we'll have to see towards the end of the season if this is a blessing or a curse. Because the last 3 weeks, and Raiders fans can hopefully agree with me, they haven't played great at all. And they've won all 3 games. They've won by 4 in particular, that magic number. But they haven't played great footy. And the issue with that is this just putting paper over the cracks that you guys will finish first? Because of your draw, you're going to finish first. 2 more buys as well. So you guys are going to finish first. But that week 1 fixture, like, if you guys are not playing great footy by the end of the season, it's not going to be as easy as everyone thinks.
You know why I would disagree with you in that case? Because these cunts go up by 50 and then they lose by 4.
Yeah, it's a bit different. It's not like they
go out,
the close games.
They literally destroy their opposition in 25 minutes, and then they're like, well, there's no point in continue trying. I respect that about them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's not like they go in the games, they're half asleep, and then they're like, oh, okay, we'll wake up and we'll destroy Souths. Instead, they go out, they do their job, and then they're like, well, we don't give a fuck. Unless it's about destroying South. So I respect that about them. Shout out to Charles Crew and shout out to Zarafos brothers. I hope you're proud of your team for only losing by 4, because on a worse night, they could have lost by 40.
Yeah, 100%. They were awful.
Speaking of losing by 40...
This was probably the worst watch
The worst
ever.
game of the round.
Melbourne. No, the last one. Oh, no, but
Souths were involved. Does anybody really care about this game? I would say no. I have literally nothing to say.
There's not much to say. The only thing is, like, Melbourne tried 10 minutes?
Yeah, a little bit more because they had less players. 15 minutes they tried.
15 minutes, yeah.
When it was 12-all, they're like, all right,
Who are these players? They have Pappy at fullback.
Yeah, had Pappy. I thought he was out.
They had low backs?
Low backs through Eli Katoa. Obviously, they can just kick to him and score at will.
It's a new offense.
Jerome Hughes didn't even try, and if he did, they probably win by 18.
Yeah.
Cowboys, you can't stick to 2 at the end to really piss me off and cover fucking 7.5 for no reason. But in the end, this was just a nothing burger of a game. I learned nothing from Melbourne. I learned nothing from Cowboys. It wasn't particularly entertaining to watch, and I truly couldn't give a dog piss that this even existed.
Yeah. Melbourne next week go to Knights, which is even more of a who gives a shit game.
We do.
Why Knights are involved.
Bradman's playing fullback.
Okay. But Melbourne didn't care, went out there and just did the job. And
Melbourne don't care. That's the interesting thing about
Well, they're second now because Dogs fuck it up themselves. But there is a Melbourne Dogs game, I think, that is in Amy Park, which is going to be huge for that second place. But I don't think they can have. I don't think they have the ability, unless or Raiders, maybe they'll fuck it up, to come first at this point. I think it's Raiders all the way, and it's a fight for second. But it's all important to come second for Melbourne, in my opinion. Going to Raiders, a team that usually plays really well against you cunts. It's much better playing Bulldogs in a game that you guys should beat them.
I don't think they would go to Raiders in any circumstance. I can't
Unless
see
they
them
finish
falling to
fourth.
4.
Well, yeah, they'll go to Bulldogs, which I don't think they give a shit about anyway.
They don't, but I think for Dogs, it's a bit of a tougher, more intimidating challenge going to Amy Park.
That's fucked.
So that's where it does.
Well, we've seen what happens. Teams going to Amy Park, they never turn it out well. So,
Yeah.
And likely that 2-3 fixture is not going to be a night fixture. They always put that one at the 5:30 slot. So fuck that.
Yeah.
To be honest, and we saw what happened to Sharks last year when they went there in that time slot. So, look, I think Melbourne are just cruising along, winning games. The backline they named was literally, I don't give a fuck, just give us the 2 points scenario. And that's the best way of explaining it.
Yep.
We don't care about you cunts, just give us 2 points. And they're like, yeah, all right,
Yep.
you go. That was it.
But no different to the Raiders, the game previous to them. Saturday night was just, all right, we'll win. You cunts can hang around if you want and just leave us alone.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
But Sunday. Shout out to the West Tigers for coming on.
Charles, you wanted to go through the shout out?
Charlie, Harry, you if you still want it.
No,
Me, because I'm claiming them this week. I like them.
Why? It's my upset alert.
J-Maz, Barnsey, all the way from Vegas. Shout out to you.
Now, Bundy.
Roosters. Before we get into the game itself, I want a formal message to the bookies that you cunts have truly lost the plot. That I couldn't recognize. As I said in the preview, I respect the fact that I know a lot about the NRL and I know a lot of players. Some of these cunts that Roosters ran out there, I've never seen them in my life. And that right winger, wow. And you guys went out there, $1.20 minus 13.5 closing. Fuck me, folks. I've had seen everything. Back yourself. Tigers 13 plus. Sorry, Tigers plus 13.5.
I wish it was 13 plus.
Didn't even have to sweat this one for 1 minute, which was a good way to start the Sunday. And your upset alert, shout out to you, Chris, for picking the biggest underdogs of the round, $4.10, and never looked in doubt. No matter how much no, I'm going to need to ask, it was destroying Licky. And yeah, again, Tigers, you finally got a win, which is good.
They finally got a win with a lineup that wasn't great, and I think a lot of people took away the fact Coruscant wasn't there. I don't remember the last time these cunts won without Coruscant, to be honest.
It's been a while.
But like I said in my upset alert, it wasn't the case that I really looked at the Tigers one. I knew who was going to be there roughly. A lot of them have played NRL games. Through injury or not, they have played in the NRL. Roosters, on the other hand, I didn't know any of their bench, step one, and Steep was starting. That's all I needed to know. And some of them that were playing, i.e. Egan Butcher, he shouldn't be in the NRL in the first place. So for from 8 to 17, it was just dreadful. And it showed because... All right, you want to read them?
Truly. All right. You go Teddy, Tupou, Nwanga, Nituwase.
Here we go.
That's good, right?
Yeah.
So far. From this point forward, all the way down, I mean, Jesus. Ethan King, Tom Rodwell, Sandon Smith, Savala, Fahu White, Yalu, Makatoa, Egan Butcher, Feketi, Steep, Dr. Clay, McCarthy, Lasalu, and Va'a. And you're going to put the minus 13. And the crazy thing to me was Billy Smith got ruled out and no one even gave a fuck. They're just like, oh, well, Roosters, they have no longer need to us, so we'll just go take 13 plus. This is the fortnightly candidate of if you can't stick Roosters 13 plus, you need help and you need to get the fuck on premium right now. Get it in the description below and wake up to yourselves, cunt. On the other side, Tigers, I'm truly proud he comes for getting a win because you are awful. But
Yeah.
it seemed to mean a lot to you guys that you wouldn't go out and give up to this New South Wales Cup team, and you did really try. I think the forwards, we came on and said that they should win the forwards, and they did for a majority of the game. They looked a little bit more explosive, even on the outside, like not exactly all the way on the edges, but around where the back rowers and the shape was, like Dewey and Fainu played quite good. Roosters, it was bad to give Fainu that intercept try where you guys dropped the ball, but even considering who Roosters ran out there, I didn't expect to see 20-0.
No, I didn't.
I didn't expect to see it for them to just come out sleepwalking.
Well, I actually want to give max credit to Terrell May and Bolle. They were awesome. Yeah. That first 20 minutes. They won them the game.
They're 10 times better than what Roosters ran out there.
And look, regardless of what the bookies were, even if they priced this correctly, Tigers ended up winning. There was no reason Tigers would be favourite in any scenario in this game. If it was 6.5, whatever it was, they won outright. So it didn't really matter, right?
I would have had this at 4.5.
Yeah, but again, they would have won.
But they would have won by 2. It would have made a bit more sense.
Yeah.
For them to score 30 points and have been getting 13.5, I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Well, look, the Manly team full strength last week beat this team by 14.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Roosters with 3 players.
Yeah.
So, and I did feel like moments in the game where I knew Tigers were going to win. Off the first set, Savala smashes the ball out of the ball. It doesn't go out. It's classic Roosters. And Taruva gets stuck in goal.
But they actually held them off.
And they held them off. And I was like, see, Tigers would have given up already if they were going to quit. Yeah. And then Stafford Toa turned into GI and throw that great offload to Charlie Staines. I was like, we're on here.
And they never really looked back.
Yeah, and that was it. Roosters, look, I can't say it that many times. Like, I know Roosters. I just understand them. I know what's going to happen with this team. And there was a lot of people I watched the game with today, and a lot of people said, how does it make sense to take 13.5 after we watched this Roosters team beat Sharks full strength? And I'm like, what did I say to you about Roosters? They don't make sense. This is the same lineup, maybe a few players, right? It wasn't much of a difference.
This is insane.
That went to Sharks and beat them full strength.
That right winger wasn't there.
Yeah, obviously
that's too much.
Well, Billy Smith was out and the line doesn't change. What do you want me to say? Marky Mark could have been out. And imagine Marky Mark didn't play. What would the spread move to? Maybe 10.
Yeah.
Imagine that team without Mark.
Yeah, I know.
They would have got pumped. They would have lost 30 plus.
I know.
And, it's just completely off. At that point, you know what's insane? If James doesn't play, they still would have been 5-point favourites.
Listen, if Tedesco, Nwangani Tuwase, and Tupou all were out, Roosters would still be favourites.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Tigers are that bad. That's the problem.
Which, I guess we're partially to blame, right? Because from the review of last week, where Tigers gave up and got pumped by Manly, we were like, I can't even imagine who these guys are going to run out there. But then we really sat and thought about, well, they still have their starting pack, and Roosters are running out that right winger. Yeah. I was like, how is this 13.5? So shout out to the Tigers. Taruva, I thought he played all right at fullback. He was asleep on a few occasions.
Well, he could play next week. I don't think Bull is back.
I would much rather him play fullback than Heath.
Yeah, I would. He's a bit more dynamic.
And Hope. The irony was he actually gave these cunts hope. He played all right. What can I say? The bench came on, they played all right. GI on the right side played good. Lala Licky, unfortunately, I don't think he can play centre again. So that's just not a thing. Yeah, he was
awful. But he played on mark.
I get that, but no.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry. Just defensively, not up to NRL standard. And I understand Nwangani Tuwase is a good player and he's hard to handle. But literally, the first one he scored, he literally carried him from 12 metres out and scored. It wasn't on the try line.
The only thing I want to say...
How funny was Tupou's try?
The only thing I want to say... I was going to get to Tupou. The only thing I want to say... And again, look, Trent Robinson... He's not usually a person that I like in my books. He's just not a good coach, in my opinion. How come you guys just didn't kick it to Tupou every time?
Yeah, it worked against Sharks.
It worked against Hiroti, who's a little bit taller than Charlie Staines. Come on. I mean, when I saw Charlie Staines and who was the other winger? Who was the Tigers winger? I couldn't tell you. That's Skelton.
Yeah, Skelton, yeah.
You have those two on your wingers, and you have Tupou and Mark, and you cunts kicked one ball.
Yeah, and it worked.
You won over one, and you never did it again. That's what we're dealing with these cunts.
I would say they scored 28, right? That should be enough to beat this Tigers team.
Yeah,
It
but
was
why
defensively like, the fuck are you doing?
Why they well, their forwards were awful.
How many line breaks did they concede?
Probably 7,
Close
8.
to 10, I think.
Yeah.
To that Tigers spine, that's a lot, bro. And a lot of them was actually through the middle, which just goes to show that if your most experienced forward is Egan Butcher, I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but that's it. That's true.
Again, I guess no one actually gives a fuck who's playing and who's not playing because there are people out there that took Roosters 13 plus. Anyway, not to be disrespectful, but I just...
No. This is the Back Yourself podcast.
No,
You
like...
cunts are fucking retarded.
Because there's part of me that's like, well, Tigers are awful as well, but, I mean, 13 plus? Who covers 13 plus in this game, in this sport, even up until playing one team who... They give away 13 plus margin victories to anyone they're playing. And yes, I'm talking about South Sydney. Truly, look, boys, there's not much to say. The buy's coming next week. Just fly away. Straight to Bali, don't even come back. You cunts are giving up, so there's no point in you guys showing up anyway. Or you can bring Tal Stunga back and run out there by himself. You fucks. Every week you can see 30 now. Where the fuck was this when you kept covering all those rounds? Morons. Anyway, you can carry on.
You like
30
South.
to 12 full time.
But you like South.
100 tries to 5 tries.
Yeah, well, they
zero
scored
conversion.
They scored 3 and barely scored 5, and no one could convert.
South suck.
South,
Okay? There's...
a dreadful.
They're an awful team.
They're-
And for all I
they're
heard,
lucky if
how,
there's Titans.
how good Humphreys has been, and the backline's there, Campbell, Graham, and Munro's a pretty good edge. The only kind of did anything was literally Tal Stunken playing left centre.
Yeah.
He at least drew blood against Turbo.
Yeah.
Or some would call him Urbo these days. Manly didn't even play good again.
Yeah, they were awful.
Manly are probably the luckiest team that
last 2
weeks they've played who they've played.
Yeah.
This lifeless, spineless Souths team and that Tigers lineup, they had nothing.
But, like, I think I said
They
this
played
on the
better
pod-
this week, though.
I want to say on the podcast, I said it like, that's what I was going to say. I said last week was their worst, but Manly were a bit better.
They were. They played okay.
And South conceding 3 tries to South is actually just a common occurrence for most teams. And Manly's defense, South actually, you would have given them a lot of hope in that first 2 minutes when they had the ball on their line, on the Manly line after fucking.
They needed points.
They needed to score there, and then Manly like repelled them, and then South were kind of like, oh, it's too hard, can't be bothered.
It got too hard for them.
Yeah.
Like even the tries that Manly scored was nothing really to them. It's just
Well,
South to me, like South just didn't.
It's nothing special. It literally just Turbo creating one extra player on the left side, and they're like, oh yeah, it's too hard. Fuck it, Garrick, go score.
Yeah, I definitely think where South's lost the ability to compete was the first 15 when they had majority of the ball, nothing to show for it, because you knew when cunts get down the other end, they're going to give up. And as I said, if Garrick was a bit better with the kicking teeth, could have been another round where these cunts concede 36 points. So South, you're actually I say this every week with how awful you cunts play, but you would be in jeopardy of getting the spoon under Wayne, which is insane. But Wayne, I don't think he deserves that on his resume.
No.
But the only thing keeping him from that is Titans.
Yeah.
This would have been a good round for Titans to run out.
The Titans are nice. I do miss them both. So I did mention to you and give you a little seed at the start. I think my Manly Seagulls are back.
You don't even believe that.
No, I do.
You truly don't.
No, look,
There's nothing good about it.
there isn't. They have the worst draw coming up of all time. And they have 4 games to prove that they're a finals team. If they escape these 4 games, if they escape these games 2-2, they might make noise. Because like we've seen, they were awful last week. And this week, they weren't any better. Trust me. But like I said way, way long ago about Titans giving fucking Dolphins wins, you give these teams hope, they all of a sudden generate into some fucking form of playing good. And I think other than Manly's draw, only people can argue to me that they won't make the 8 because the teams around them, i.e. Sharks, i.e. fucking Roosters, who we'll see about them. I think they make it. And if they make it, they're a scary opposition to any team.
No one's scared of these cunts.
I'm scared of them. They have a good
This
offense.
is the Manly's next 4 games.
I know, they're awful.
At Melbourne.
Yeah.
At Bulldogs.
The-
Roosters at 4 Pines. And then at Canberra. They're lucky to win 1.
If they go 2-2, they'll make the 8.
I can't see. They'll never win in Melbourne with their forward.
We know who's going to win.
With their forward
We know
pack.
who they're going to beat, aren't they? Again, they're scared of them.
They're going to beat Dogs again. I think they'll get annihilated by Dogs as well. I don't think you've understood how awful their forwards
No,
are.
they're awful. I'm not denying they're awful. But you're giving them hope.
Souths. Guys just make no sense to me, really.
They've given up. It's fine.
Yeah, it's too hard.
It's too hard for South. It's fine. It's good to know that they've quit. But they're going to start covering towards the end of the year.
To me, there's nothing to talk about individually in this game because it was another snooze fest.
Yeah.
Shout out to us for getting tricky on Back Yourself Premium.
And it worked.
Not taking the South spread, not taking overs.
Not taking the Manly spread.
Taking an alternate plus 18.5 on Souths with a over 39.5 because we kind of correlated the two together. You get better odds because you're taking overs in the underdog, $2 odds. Boom. Gives us a profitable round, 3 and 2. Wasn't our best work, but... Laying 8 with Melbourne, could have easily won. Same with laying 6.5 with Bulldogs, could have easily won. Could have easily lost the Souths one, so we call it even. Tigers, we were all over it. Same with Dragons, in my opinion. So I think that's 8 winning best bet rounds in a row. So for those of you that are looking to make a bit of coin on the punt and you're not on Back Yourself Premium, I don't know who else in Australia has had 2 straight winning months on this garbage sport, but we have accomplished that. So... At the very least, check us out, lads. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we put a bow on this one?
No, we got one game to go, obviously.
Oh, just on Souths. What do you expect from Souths when they come back after their bye?
No. See, you're trying to trap me because I said to you, they're going to come back and try.
I want you on record. That's the beauty of having a podcast.
All right, fine. I actually think they'll come back and try for a few weeks and then go to Bali to infuriate us even more.
I think there might be at least 3 forfeits. They need a month off. It's too hard.
I actually think they'll come back and try.
Why?
I don't know.
I
have a feeling it's South.
It was a season from hell from them.
Oh yeah, but with all the injuries, it's just not lined up well. But their lineup, if you look at on paper, it actually looks good. I don't know how long for. Like if we're talking about next year, Walker's getting a bit old. You know, Brandon Smith looks like
they're fucked.
Wyden's a bit old.
Wyden sucks. Walker sucks.
So I don't know how much they're going to go next year, but right now it's just a shit year. And it kind of is one of those years when you try and roll the dice for 1 year, it never works. You need a few years. And South tried to roll the dice this year with everyone, and they discovered Humphreys and they got Brandon Smith. And look at a spine of Latrell, Humphreys, Walker, Brandon Smith at their best with Wyden and fucking Graham. It's a lot of firepower. You're like, all right, they're not awful, but the season actually started from preseason losing Cam Murray. So.
I truly don't hold it against Souths, but just in terms of how I approach betting their games week to week from now, I'm going to factor in that
they've gone to Bali.
It's too hard, for them. They don't give a shit.
I think give it a few more weeks. We still got 8 rounds to go. I still think they haven't given up. I think
they'll quit and then
they'll cover.
When everyone else quits, then they'll be like, oh, we can get a couple wins and not.
But who's going to give up? Outside of Titans?
Titans have given up already.
Titans, South.
Knights.
Oh, Knights.
When they start seeing 4 on the scoreboard, they're going to be like, fuck. It's happening again.
Knights play Melbourne, don't they?
Yeah.
How are they going to score?
Through best at fullback.
All right. Well, we got one game left. And for everyone that also watches the Day in the Life series, we have an opportunity to go into profit because I feel like it is a fitting way to end it and maybe end the series. I don't know for sure. But after today, I don't know how much the numbers were, but it was something dumb. We have an opportunity with a decent staked Origin bet. We could actually get into profit on Origin Day.
I would love to see that.
It will be a special video and definitely a special take because God knows we still don't know what we're taking. But yeah, we're almost there. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a big Origin pod. We won't have a review probably because we don't care. One, you cunts don't care. Let's start with that.
We won't have a review.
Well, we're not going to be here.
When do you go out?
Well, I leave Friday.
Yeah, Thursday we'll do the review.
These cunts want to hear about Origin. Yeah, all right.
It's a decider. We have to do one. Thursday we do the review and preview, and then you can piss off.
All right, sounds good because I'll be away. And
especially for Queensland when we'll do emergency Wednesday night.
Oh yeah, we'll need an emergency. Maybe we can pull off. Some external guests as well because I've got a few ideas up my sleeve that I want to implement, which we'll discuss off the pod. But it's going to be a huge week. Honestly, it's going to be fucked. So I can't wait for Origin.
There's a lot to look forward to. Thank you for those of you that stayed with the Back Yourself podcast. An hour in this dog shit round. We will see you guys on Wednesday night. Up the Blues, Maroons, who knows which way we're going. You're going to have to wait and find out. Up the All Blacks, brother.
Go the All Blacks.
All right, peace.